Okay, welcome to Sunday Talk 3, Part 3. And there goes the phone. Alright, so while Syria is torn to pieces, the demon-possessed United Nations found the time to adopt a resolution calling on Israel to withdraw from all occupied territories to the pre-June 4th, 1967 line in accordance with relevant Security Council solutions. Voting results were 97 in favor, 8 against, and 64 abstained. So, I think the U.S. and all allies of Israel are condemning the United Nations, who are constantly condemning Israel. And it's kind of quote unquote all the worldly bad guys seem to be condemning Israel, and all the worldly good guys are supporting Israel, like the U.S., the U.K. Governments. A lot of the people in the UK, from what I understand with reports and all that, are condemning Israel. But that was released by Amir Tsarfati on his Telegram channel. Let's see. There was a large warhead exploded in. Let's see, where was it? Syrian rebel drone strike on Assad regime target. So there was a video of a huge explosion that was brought about by the attacking rebels who launched this drone against the Syrian Assad forces, which is, strange. This kind of stuff right here, these drones and large heavy warheads, is something that they wouldn't normally have, but they do. I think we talked about before that there's speculations that they're being backed by someone, and I forget who it is. Maybe I think it's Iran is blaming. Who is it? I think Turkey, saying that they're backing them. So let's see. Mount Taal, the volcano in the Philippines. There was a video capturing its eruption. The ash cloud grew to a height of 2.8 kilometers. Let's see. Per Amir on Telegram, Syria is blaming Turkey. Yeah, well, there it is. Syria is blaming Turkey as the backer of the rebel attack. I really shouldn't speak ahead. I should just read this. Okay, oops. The official Iranian news agency launched a wild attack against Turkey and Erdogan because Erdogan did not comply with Iran's demand to stop the Sunni rebels in Syria. Let's see. As of 12/4/24, the Lebanese army is being deployed across the area that the IDF withdrew from. So the Lebanese military is actually being deployed in the area where Israel was. And if you remember, Israel was complaining that they were not doing the job that they had agreed to uphold the ceasefire. And Israel Katz had stated that if the peace talks break down, that Israel would not exclude Lebanon from a potential future war. They would consider them all to be the same, is what I got from that release information. So, also on Amir's Telegram channel, rebels attacking Syria captured huge amounts of tanks and equipment abandoned by the Assad military. They even captured a Podlet K-1 low altitude surveillance radar at Special Forces Division headquarters. Reuters report, or Routers, or however you would pronounce that. Hamas memo states that the terror organization has information about Israel's intention to carry out a hostage rescue operation, similar to the one carried out last June, where 4 hostages were released alive. So Israel had this super top secret situation to where they sent some of their Mossad forces, and from what I understand, the Mossad are kind of like maybe the CIA equivalent, possibly. But they sent them in to Gaza to take positions, pretend to be one of the guys and girls, and they ended up rescuing 4 hostages, bringing them out. It was a long, drawn-out kind of thing. There was a lot of things happened. Vehicles went down, working on vehicles, trying to get them running, and a lot of shooting, and eventually they made it out of there with the hostages. So it was a pretty big ordeal. So Hamas is releasing information not to the public. It's in a memo that Reuters got hold of, apparently, and published, that they had information related to Israel potentially performing another one of those rescue operations. Examinations on 6 bodies recovered in Gaza earlier this year have been confirmed killed by captors and not Israeli airstrikes, per the IDF, Israeli Defense Force. So there's been some accusations, I think, coming out of Gaza saying that some of the hostages were killed by Israel attacking in Gaza. And I think there had been a situation to where some hostages was forced to run towards Israeli military forces at gunpoint, and the Israeli military forces did fire on them and kill them, and they turned out to be hostages. But they really, can you imagine a situation like that, somebody's standing behind you with a gun saying, I'm going to kill you if you don't run out there. And when you run out there, they're going to think you're the bad guys and shoot you anyway. So it's like a no-win deal. But at least you got the potential of maybe surviving, but they're going to shoot you in the back and kill you if you don't. So anyway, very ugly, hard situations, hard deals. Syrian civil war update. Rapid shifts in the northern front. The situation in Syria has taken a dramatic turn. Syrian opposition forces have launched a swift and unexpected offensive, capturing significant territories, bringing them closer to the strategic city of Hama. In response, the Assad regime, with support from Russia and Iran allies, has intensified airstrikes and deployed reinforcements to halt the insurgents' momentum. Then another news release from Amir was exposed by the rebels. Assad's underground tunnels in Tal Rifat, maybe. My tongue don't twist around like that. So anyway, with meeting rooms, operation centers, hospitals, kitchens, restaurants, the secret prisons stretching from the Shabat Dam to Aleppo. What is it with all the tunnels? Everywhere in the Middle East, every country, it seems like, is building tunnels underneath the ground. Let me read my thoughts, because I was fixing to say my thoughts. Isn't there a scripture that says the earth dwellers will crawl in holes and call for the rocks to come down on their heads and hide them? Kind of that's the scripture that come to mind when I was reading about more tunnels. And these are intricately detailed tunnels. Listen to this. It's operation centers, hospitals, kitchens, restaurants, secret prisons, a whole city underground. ready for someone to inhabit and live underground. Let's see. Trump receiving the Fox News Patriot of the Year award. Apparently he gets that. U.S. intelligence estimates Hezbollah already worked to recover, or already working to recover weapons and personnel. So, being as there's a ceasefire, Israel has pulled back to a certain extent and stopped. So even already at this point, and this is this was Wednesday. What is today? I guess it would be the third. What date did I got home? No, I got the Sunday's date. So this was Wednesday that this took place. Whatever day that would be, I can't remember for the life of me what it is. I think it's the third. But as of the third, Hezbollah was already working to build up their arsenal of all the bad stuff in the world and recruiting more personnel to build their ranks again. So pretty quickly filling that part in, ready to get back to business as usual, I guess. Reports the French government fell due to a vote of no confidence for the first time since 1962. Reports that the current president fell asleep during a meeting with presidents of several African nations. Oh, well, I mean, there was a video, but I really couldn't watch the video. But it looked like he was. In past history, probably was. Doesn't seem to be a whole lot. I don't know. It's a whole thing, and it is what it is. But reports saying that he fell asleep. Hamas reported gathering weapons in humanitarian zones in Khan Yunis. So there are certain places over in Gaza and areas around there that are designated as humanitarian zones, safe zones, and areas where aid will be distributed and stockpiled to be given to residents. And Hamas, throughout the war with Israel, have continuously and consistently held up in these areas, had meetings in these areas, stockpiled weapons, and stationed rocket launchers, and you name it, business as usual. Of course, there's been a lot of situations where they've had bases, rocket launchers, and meetings in schools, daycares, hospitals, the whole nine yards. And all this stuff is against Geneva Convention, which is like the rules of gentleman's war. People die, but we won't shoot at hospitals, kind of thing. And they're not observing that. They're changing into civilian uniforms. So you can't, and that's part of the deal earlier when I talked about the hostages being fired upon, is the enemy wasn't wearing, or it isn't wearing any uniforms. As far as they're concerned, they're dressed just like anybody else. And so you don't know the difference. And at one point, they were actually running up with white flags. And then at one point they would duck down where they had guns stored, and they would grab them and start shooting at the Israeli soldiers. And so there's no way to know who's the bad guy, who's a good guy, and that's also against the Geneva Conventions. You're supposed to wear a uniform. I am your enemy, at least, type of deal. So anyway, magnitude of 5.8 earthquake in western Iran. Now, this is a thing I really recommend. An app that I use on my iPhone. It's called Earthquake. And it just looks like a red square with a circle and like a Richter scale type slash going through it. But this app, and I paid for it. It was like a couple dollars. But this app right here is pretty cool. When I first started using it a couple years ago, it was set by default to a throw that down there. It was set by default to a magnitude 1 or greater, that it would go off and alert you that there was an earthquake. And so that was fine in the beginning. After a few months, suddenly it was going off constantly. So I upped it to a magnitude 2 or greater, and then it started going off more and more and more, and so I upped it to a magnitude 3 or greater, and again going off more and more. Eventually this progressed until I upped it to a magnitude 5 or greater, that it would not notify me of an earthquake. And so what started happening is it was quiet for a while and then built up above that. And so what I'm saying is, over the last couple of years, the amount of earthquakes inside in the world have increased continuously, more and more and more, until it got to the point that a magnitude 5 was going off as much as a magnitude 1. And so it's kind of settled into a pattern now. So it'll be a low amount just every now and then, every couple of days. Then suddenly it'll start building more and more and more and more and more and more. And then there's a whole bunch of them for several days, and then it settles back down again. So it's kind of like those birth pains that we talked about. And it's kind of surging up and down, and that's what's been happening over the last year. But what I've noticed is what's happening over the last year is when it gets into the peaks, it's no longer in the 5 or 6s setting it off. It's in the 6s and 7s. So the magnitude of the earthquakes are getting larger and larger. So anyway, it's a great app. I think everybody should have it to be watching. So reports the Minister of Defense and commander of the South Korean Army submitting resignations after the attempted military coup this week. So they kind of, oops, we did a bad thing, and they quit. And here report that per the CIA World Factbook, the population of Gaza has increased by 2.02% since October 7th, 2023. This was reported on Amir Tsarfati's Telegram channel as quoting John Spencer on X. So if that's true, then the population has been increasing. Kind of kills the whole genocide thing. So anyway, that's all we got for this this update, this part 3. And be on the lookout. Part 4 will be coming. I appreciate you guys sticking around here, and please like and subscribe. Comment below, and let's talk about this. If you know some of this is not accurate, let's get it out there in the comments so that everybody's aware. Because I'm going off of news stuff I see on the internet, I see from news channels and stuff like that, and I'm trying to weed through what is going to be the most accurate, because there's so many the official news agencies out there. No one trusts them anymore, because they just tell you what they're told to say or what they want to say, whatever they think will get ratings, and the truth doesn't mean anything to them anymore, it seems like. I don't trust any of the news. I don't trust any of the major news networks. So anyway, I appreciate you being here. I thank you for spending your time with me. Thank you, and God bless.